everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Selena with Selena Marie LLC, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your very own shirt just like this one. Let's get started by going over everything you're going to need for this project. So first you're going to need a Silhouette Cameo 4. You may have another cutting machine, but today's video I'm specifically going to be going over the Silhouette Cameo 4 and the Silhouette Studio software. Then you're going to need your apparel, your shirts, or whatever you're going to put your design on. I'm going to be using a Bella & Canvas 100% cotton t-shirt today. And you will also need some printable HTV, which stands for heat transfer vinyl. I'm going to be trying out the Tech Wrap heat transfer vinyl for dark and light fabrics. So I picked a dark shirt so you can see how this turns out. You will also need some sort of heat source. You can use an iron for this project, but I do recommend getting a good heat press. Today I'm going to be using the HTV Raw manual heat press, and I'm going to make sure I have some heat gloves. My other one went, but I'm going to make sure I have heat gloves because it's going to be hot, and you're going to need a Teflon sheet or some sort of parchment paper to go over your design to protect it from the heat when we're pressing. If you've ever worked with printable HTV, you've probably run in where it doesn't last very long, and it might be a project for a quick little birthday party you might need a shirt for, or a home project or something like that, and it doesn't need to last that long or that many washes. However, I'm going to teach you guys a trick using a polyurethane spray to help your designs last a little longer. It's not a fix-all. May get some comments that DTF is better, which I'll do some videos in the future on as well. However, if all you have is a printer at home and you need to make that quick shirt for whatever you got going on and you need it to last just a little bit longer, I'm going to help you out. So stay tuned. Go ahead and jump into this project. I'm going to head over to my computer and get my design ready and walk you guys step by step through that process. First, we're going to open up Silhouette Studio, which you do not have to have the business edition. I do because it's helpful to make SVGs and stuff. However, the free edition is just fine, which it does come with the purchase of one of their machines. Ready to go. So in print and cut, what I do is auto for Cameo 4. Let my feed type be auto, or you can change that. The cutting mat is going to be 12 by 12, and then for my media size I'm going to be using A4. So I do it this way, and then I personally do my print page setup and set it to my printer, which is my Epson 7840, and then I'm going to also set that to A4, and I do borderless. We need to get everything set up for print and cut. Let's turn on our registration marks. So it's going to be this third tab here with the little corners on it, and we're going to hit on. And I typically leave it just as is, and I do not personally do a print bleed. Some people do, however I do not. With the precision of my Cameo 4, I don't necessarily need it, so I'm going to leave it just like this. Now I'm going to go grab my design and load it into the software. The key to picking a design for print and cut is making sure that it's going to be able to cut around the edges of your PNG. Don't pick something that's going to be too jagged, I guess. Like if you have something that's like a watercolor splash or something, it might be a little too crazy busy to where it won't precisely cut it too well. So just make sure it's very nice sharp edges. I did pick this one so you can see how precisely the Cameo 4 does cut, and I really like this design. I'm going to make it as big as I possibly can. Also personally turn on my print border and my cut border, and you'll see why. It turns on this outline that's going to show you where your Silhouette Cameo will cut. So if it's outside of that parameter, it's not going to cut. I'll print, and then I'm going to find my printer, which is my Epson 7840. And I like to use, I have a setting called cardstock print, which is my best quality print. And all that really is using a premium paper setting on your printer and the best quality possible. So I use photo matte paper and quality best. Do not need to mirror heat transfer vinyl. Now let's load our printer and print our design. I'm going to load my tech wrap paper into my printer. I'm going to grab one sheet and we're going to put it in here. And I'm going to adjust my printer to be to A4 settings. So according to your printer, printable HTV inkjet printer. No special ink here. Might speed this up for you guys because it's going to print slow, but here we go. Now let's go cut it using our Silhouette Cameo 4. Load our printed design onto our mat. Sorry, my mat is not the cleanest. Don't judge me. I'm going to go ahead and this on our cutting mat as straight as possible. Okay, it'll read our registration marks. And then what I would recommend, always you don't mess up your design. I put a sheet of copy paper over my design and then I'm able to rub it down and stick it to the mat. Now let's load it into our Cameo. And then what's important is to make sure you line up your cutting mat with the markings that are on your Silhouette Cameo. That way it can read your registration marks accurately. So just line it up there, hold it, and press up button. Now it's loaded into your Cameo. Now let's head over to the computer and start cutting. I use this image transfer paper, so I'm going to go over here, use the drop down, and select image transfer paper, and I leave it on auto blade. You can change that if you would like, if you have a manual blade that you use. However, I like the auto blade. It does well with the Cameo 4, so I'm going to stick with that. Okay, we'll hit send and let the Cameo 4 read the registration marks to begin cutting. Especially if you're in a low light area. Machine is a little loud. Now let's unload. Let's go ahead and weed away our excess around our design. Some of the little pieces are already falling out in my design. Hopefully we get a good cut. Oops. Cut my paper. Don't really need that part, but now let's grab a transfer sheet. Has a backing side direction. So peel away the backing. So I start at the bottom by aligning my transfer sheet with backing of the image transfer, the design transfer we did, and then I'm going to slowly press it down from the bottom up. Okay, ensuring that it's nice and flat. And then I'm gonna take a squeegee. Any sort of squeegee will work, but I'm using one that's fabric based, so it's not too harsh. And I'm going to rub the transfer. think it's because it cut through my paper on the bottom, so just be careful. Peel it up first. And then we'll backtrack. That out of the way. I have a few spots that I forgot to weed out, so I'm going to do that before I press. Clean cut. Turn it on. And then I want to adjust my temperature by just turning the knob. I'm going to do 330, do the maximum heat and the max time. Just press it and let it heat up. It's close to the temperature. I like to pre-press my shirts to get any moisture out. I recommend getting various sizes of Teflon sheets. That way you can have some that cover a design, or if you need to cover a shirt completely, just because sometimes darker shirts can burn with certain temperatures, I've found, but not necessary, just a little precaution. Okay, so my temperature shows 290, so I'm going to go ahead and press it for about, and this is where you can kind of test your pressure. You don't want it to be too tight because it can leave marks on your shirt. That's pretty good. I'm gonna do about 10 seconds. Okay, now we got all the moisture. Now we're gonna put our design on our shirt. Here's our cute design. And this backing is super sticky, so honestly you don't need any heat transfer tape. Don't recommend folding it in half to try to line it because it's so sticky and you will peel the other side of it. And then what I do is I just kind of check my measurements on each side. Just roughly, this is going to be my shirt anyway. And I personally like to go at least 2 inches below the collar, depending on what kind of design you have going on. I can suppress it for 15 to 20 seconds. I'm going to put my Teflon sheet on top. Go to my button. And the Teflon does get stuck. So just be careful grabbing it. It will be hot. I'm going to take my cooling block and cool down my transfer. That's what's awesome about the swing away presses, is that you can swing it out of the way and it's not going to continue to heat. It's actually peeling though. And so that's what's left on your transfer sheet. And according to the tech wrap instructions, you're done. But I like to take a piece of parchment paper and repress my design just to seal it in. And I do another 20 seconds. Show you close up. Cute. And no ink smearing. Now the trick is to grab our polyurethane coating, which honestly the one I'm using isn't my favorite. It's just the only one I have right now. I'll link my very favorite in the description below, but this one was also really good if you can't find the other one. And this does have a glossy finish, so just keep that in mind. And when you're using this, make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. Okay. Now, make sure you don't get too close to your design with it because it will create like this droplet look to it. So you want to have a good distance. I'm going to keep an even motion going. Is create a barrier around your design so it limits how much gets on your shirt. I know this sounds crazy, but it helps. And you can skip this step entirely and just go on about your day with your printable HTV. Let's see how long it lasts, but I'm just trying to help you out a little. Good. Then you can remove your paper. Whether you decide to use the polyurethane spray or not, just be sure to allow your shirt to dry for at least 24 hours before washing it, and then turn it inside out and wash it. I do not recommend you throw these in the dryer. Make sure you hang them out to dry to ensure that they last as long as possible. Please let me know how your experience goes in the comments, and let me know what other tips and tricks you'd like to see. Thank you all so much for watching. Can't wait to see you next time. Happy crafting. My name is Selena with Selena Marie LLC. Words. I should probably do this at the end.